Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us.
And look, if you didn't watch the last show, you should go back and when Deborah gets it up on YouTube. We had quite the fight over a toll bridge, so you might want to go back and take a look at that. Couple house cleaning items that have come up. Actually, one is very big. To get the folks caught up, Deborah. But let's talk about our well protection area and the sand and gravel aquifer.
Yes.
Okay.
This is the aquifer in East Milton. It's it feeds most of Gulf Breeze, is my understanding.
South end
of the county.
57,000 residents get water out of that
because
aquifer.
they've built so many homes down there that their wells are now actually sucking salt water into their wells, so they've got to come to East Milton. So there's all this area out there that's this aquifer that has drinking water, and at the same time you have certain interests who want to put dumps, garbage dumps, where the drinking water, that will, right on top of the drinking water aquifers.
So just to give you a little idea, and look, understand, our good friend Etta and Wallace and Kyle. Working in concert and getting some grant dollars available. We recently, just within the last year, have a clear understanding of what we have in that area. And the area we're talking about is East Milton, just the other side of Ward Basin Road, heading east for several 8 or 10 miles out. It has been discovered that we have a sand and gravel aquifer that is recharged by the Yellow River and the Blackwater River, which all of you, if you live around here, you're familiar with. And so when you back the bus up, 25 or 30 years ago, kind of a gentleman's agreement or a thought was, well, a city should go here, and maybe this would be a good place for our industrial stuff. The interstates there, blah blah blah, and so it was just kind of brushed to that area. The problem is now we know the science is there, the studies have been done, the geological surveys have been complete, and it is like I said, currently servicing the water needs of some 57,000 residents of Santa Rosa County. And
so you basically have 3 people trying to get a protection ordinance over there where you can't put dumps and things like that.
And so, and here's where the headbutting begins. Because this is groundwater. And because of the importance of it, that is why Etta and Wallace and Kyle and several other people have worked very hard on a well protection area. We really do need to be careful. I'm not bumping my gums here, folks. This is a source of water for a full 1/3 or better of the citizens in our community. And if we don't protect it, if we lose that source of water, we're in trouble. And now, with that said, there are plenty of industrial things that I'm okay with. That we don't have to worry about the aquifer. There's plenty of manufacturing items who don't have runoff, who don't have waste products that are easily absorbed into the soil. I mean, you're not limited. You're not hurting industrial development in the industrialized area of the county. But, however, and I have given this speech several times. I have given it before the Planning Council. I've given it 2 or 3 times before the Board of County Commissioners. Here's the question that I asked the commissioners and the planning board. This is the question they need to answer themselves. When we talk about C&D pits and we talk about garbage pits, dumping, the problem will not occur today. The problem will be 25 to 30 to 40 years from now. So the question that I pose to them is, are you comfortable with poisoning your grandchildren and your great-grandchildren? We have seen it right here in Santa Rosa County, Florida, folks. Coyote Landfill, high levels of H2S, benzene, contaminated water wells down there. What used to be usable water wells are now contaminated. Smell from it, making it a quality of life issue that people don't even want to be around it. Folks have lost property values. They don't want to live there, but you're not going to find anybody to sell it to. Been very detrimental. The Joyner landfill is another one. Now, folks, here's what's problematic with private companies being involved in C&D and garbage collection. Here it is in a nutshell. And this is not a guess. This is not something I've dreamt up. This has actually happened in Santa Rosa County, and it was the Joyner landfill. It starts out with they need clay, so they dig in, they pull the clay, they use it for building here, here, and here. We're still harmless now. We're okay.
Yeah, it's a borrow pit.
It's a borrow pit. Well, when all the clay is out of there, now here's your first problem, folks. Clay is a natural barrier for anything to get to the water table. But they mine in the borrow pits until all the clay's out, so your natural barrier is now gone. Well, then someone comes along and says, well, we want to put stuff in there. Well, they start putting stuff in there, and they put more stuff in there, and they put more stuff in there.
And construction and demolition debris includes
all kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, asbestos,
drywall, you know, the whole gamut. But the problem lies in these typically get sold. In the case of the Joyner landfill, it was sold to a limited liability corporation. If you don't understand a limited liability corporation, typically it's an entity that has zero assets, so there's no way to sue them to get any money to make them do anything. Last count I was told, I don't know this for a fact, I was told that the Joyner landfill was either on number 7 or number 9 LLC that it had been passed through. So now we have a hole in the ground that's full of dangerous stuff that is already showing some signs of decomposition and detriment to the environment right there. No way to force anybody to handle it, to cover it, to in any way, shape, or form to protect the citizens that live around it. But here's the next thing that occurred, folks. You pay property taxes. Normal circumstances, you go down, you pay your property taxes, no harm, no foul. Under state law, if once you miss paying your property taxes 3 times in a row, in the 4th year, if the property taxes hadn't been paid, it goes up for public auction. Well, guess what? The Joyner landfill went up for public auction. Do you think anybody was crazy enough to put a bid on it? Because the liability exceeds into the jabillions of dollars. So guess what? The next thing happened, folks. Santa Rosa County owns the Joyner landfill, and
almost as valuable as the Pullen property.
Yeah, I'll have to tip my hat to Commissioner Melvin. He realized that kind of early on when that issue was brought to him, and he has been working trying to get Senator Gates and some of these other people to get on board that quote unquote we the citizens and the county of Santa Rosa County should not be held liable for this thing. But as the law is written right now, Santa Rosa County owns the Joyner landfill. And it is just a mess. But the other part of the speech that I always give, and if you're watching Santa Rosa Week TV, you certainly understand that I'm not very trusting of government. But I will make an exception to the rule on this one. When we're talking about C&D pits and the collection of garbage, my wish, and I have expressed this repeatedly, my wish is that we pass an ordinance that we forbid the private control of C&D or garbage pits. It is problematic. There's the proper
oversight
the proper controls are not in place. A county has a vested interest at our central landfill. Those employees down there, I'll tell you, they're pretty tight.
Yeah.
They look in the back of your truck. They see what you got. They look to see what's in your trailer. They make sure it goes to the proper locations. And I trust government, who has a vested interest in not poisoning its citizens,
Yeah. Well, the Florida,
over private
the
entities.
State Department of Environmental Protection has a long history of siding with owners.
Oh, well,
I mean,
they look the other way.
And that's a problem, is they've got the next step up oversight of a privately owned
and you can't get them to
landfill.
do anything.
Exactly.
You know what? One of the things that's been expressed to us with the with Etta and Wallace, those that are working for the Wellfield protection. Now, of course, this probably won't shock you when I tell you this, but the state of Florida, they will not make a comment on whether or not a C&D, the location of a C&D pit. Their only thing that they say is if the rules say it has to have a liner, well, we come in to make sure it has a liner. We come in to make sure that it's covered with dirt every day at the end of the day. They will not make a determination on where it is, and this is an instant right here where we need the state of Florida to come in, or the Supreme Court of the state of Florida, or the EPA, either state or federal, really needs to come in and say, hey, this should be a protected water asset for all the citizens.
Yeah.
And we need to not allow this to happen.
Well, and the very frightening thing to consider is that, again, you're behind the scenes, special interest here. Word on the street, very reliable sources, is there's a lot of people who want to put coal ash,
right,
which is poisonous. Of course, the EPA will tell you, we're not sure, we're not going to put it on the list yet.
Massively poisonous.
Right.
Just ask the people up there in Tennessee if it's problematic when it comes washing down the hillside towards you.
Yeah. So then you have a landfill sitting there in East Milton filled with coal ash. Gee, I wonder where that's going to come from. And there's your water supply right underneath.
Right. Yeah. To me, it is a very easy decision. For the health and safety of the citizens of Santa Rosa County, which I believe should come first and foremost in every decision that is made. This is a bad idea in the long run to allow this, and to take it a little bit further. Look, folks, Deborah and I go to a lot of these meetings. We have watched this repeatedly, and I caution the commissioners at the last county commission meeting. This item about this C&D pit was on the agenda. Everyone who was paying attention to this, we showed up to the county commission meeting because it was on the agenda and we wanted to speak to it. Prior to the meeting start, it was removed from the agenda. Now, we still got up and spoke our piece, but one of the things that I told I didn't tell the commissioners, I asked them to be fair about it, is that because opposition shows up, it gets pulled, they wait till the opposition is not there, and then it gets thrown back on the agenda again. And I asked, and I specifically looked at Commissioner Williamson as the chairman, and I said, look, I would appreciate, whatever the decision is here, but let's not play the cat and mouse games that typically get played. Let's have honest, open, let's put it on the calendar, let's call all interested parties, and let's make sure everybody has an opportunity to speak. Because we've seen this happen before, but here's the danger of this, folks. I will repeat to you a quote of Gordon Gooden, and this is one of the reasons why I'm glad Gordon Gooden is back in private life again, because he sat in front of us with the cameras rolling and the microphones turned on, and he said, and I quote, this organization, this Blue Water C&D pit, they only want to do a 10-acre site. And I don't see how they're going to make any money at it, but if they want to do it, then we should allow them.
Yeah.
What he didn't tell you folks is there is somewhere in the neighborhood of 800 to 900 acres that eventually could all be included in this. So here we are trying to protect a well field. We're trying to protect a source of water for 60,000 people and growing. A natural resource that all of us get affected by, because hey, when I go to the south end of the county, I drink out of a water faucet down there at the pier or down at the beach or take a shower in that water. And now it's just 10 acres.
Yeah.
It's just 10 acres. Folks, that's how it always starts.
Well, and here's the thing. I'm wondering, in this economy, where they think construction and demolition profits are going to come from. Coal ash is the answer. That, you know what I mean? That's not being. It's what's not being said. And I understand. Well, we'll have to wait and see if the electricity monopoly gets involved with this. We'll have to see if. I understand we've seen some of their employees at some of these meetings. Maybe they were there for something else. I don't know. But it'll be interesting to see if the electricity monopoly has an interest in this.
Here's my 2 cents worth, folks, and this is something that I pay a lot of attention to, and look, I do want us to get along with our neighbors in Escambia County and Okaloosa County when it comes to solid waste management. I get it. I don't want to offend them, but I'm gonna tell you right now, any day of the week, if you have a little time, you drive out to the central landfill to stop by and get you some lunch, pull over on the side of the road at the gate leading in there, and you see how many giant loads of garbage comes from other counties coming to our landfill. That's problem number one. Problem number one, we need to raise the rates a little bit.
Yeah.
So that it gets evenly distributed.
Right.
I'm all about, in Santa Rosa County, I think first and foremost we should take care of whatever garbage that we generate in Santa Rosa County. We should take care of it. I think that's only fair. We generated it. It should be our responsibility to do something with it. What I am told is currently the landfills that we have in place right now, we're good for 100 years, even with all of everything we let come in here. If we stopped at least portions of this stream of waste that's coming into our county, we should be good for a couple 100 years.
Theoretically.
You know, and hopefully by then
garbage output goes up.
There's better technology and recycling becomes stronger.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, there's a lot of things there, but it is just it's a mess. Every hole in the ground, folks, in Escambia County, the Saltfleet landfill, Coyote and Joyner in Santa Rosa County, every place there's a hole in the ground, and I'm going to tell you, folks, there's a lot of holes in the ground that aren't even permitted, that have very dangerous things in them that's scattered throughout.
Yeah.
I've met a fella from Escambia County that potentially can, I don't know, I think he's probably identified close to 75 to 100 over there. Downtown Milton, along the river, was one of the historic dumping sites down there. There's some areas along the river that
used to be very industrial down there.
And you can't build anything with any weight on it because of the dumping that was there. You know, and it's just so critical for the health. I mean, what are we going to accomplish here on a short-term gain? Well, it won't be our short-term gain. It'll be a private entity short-term gain.
Well, and if they allow
and then poison everybody.
If they allow coal byproducts, it'll be the gain of the electricity monopoly, who won't have to ship it as far away, and that'll be cheaper for them.
Right.
I'm guessing there'll be no rate reduction though.
You know, Santa Rosa Week TV says pay attention to blue water and what occurs in this C&D situation here, because if you're opposed to it, we need your help, and B, some kind of resolution needs to occur, because I'm going to continue to keep going to the meetings, and I'm going to keep my foot on the gas pedal, but I know how these things go. And
they get delayed and delayed until nobody's paying. As soon as nobody's paying attention, boom, they're in there.
Well, look, I feel for folks. You know, they got a family. They got it. They're having to take off work to go to a meeting
because it's in the morning.
Every discussion, my way of thinking, every time that there's a regional importance, such as that C&D pit discussion, those meetings are to be at 7 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So anybody who wants to show up could go to.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only fair. Because it's those folks that are at work, it's their children that's going to be poisoned by this stuff, you know. So keep your eye on the ball, folks. Another issue that came up recently, and I'm gonna have to sling it back at the legislature a little bit, is Medicaid. You know. I know you've probably seen in the print media, Escambia County got hit with $6.2 million bill. Santa Rosa was, I don't know, 1.5 million dollars in the state. And what kills me,
let's remember, Medicaid is for low-income people.
Right.
Medicare is for seniors.
Right. So, you know, they just basically say, well, you know, here's our state legislators. They look at it and say, well, we got a couple holes in the budget, so here's what we'll do. We'll just throw it off on all the counties, okay? I just find it very unfair. It appears that Santa Rosa County is going to join with Escambia County in a lawsuit.
Yeah.
And actually, one of the things that I liked, one suggestion that I read in the comments to one of the stories was, one person said, well, just don't pay them.
Yeah.
You know, what are they going to do? They send you a bill for it. We just don't pay them. We don't have the money to pay you.
They'll cut off the state aid that comes. They'll cut off all the road aid and all that other stuff. Like, you know, the funding that comes through. But I'll just point out that had our U.S. legislators had the backbone to implement single-payer Medicare for all, health insurance, like the majority of the American population wants, that would be a moot issue. You wouldn't have Medicaid at all. Wouldn't have the program at all anymore because.
Honestly, when it comes to health care, I think we ought to scrape everything that's on the table right now. We need to scrape it all off and start over again.
It would not be difficult to extend Medicare. It's got a very low 4% administrative overhead. It wouldn't be difficult at all to just extend it, cover everybody, you know, collect it through the same way we collect it now.
As a Republican, I feel obligated to say
understand.
this.
I understand.
I will say this. It's time for people to get off their dead rear ends and take care of themselves. All right, we have thrown money after millions, after billions, after trillions of dollars.
Somebody has a catastrophic illness they can't take care of.
I do not have a problem with, and most folks will agree that there's probably about 5% of our society that get hit with a catastrophic situation. That
it's a little higher than
they
that.
have a horrible disease that is very rare.
But beyond that, I mean, kids need vaccinations that help prevent them from being sicker, or people from being sicker. Reduces. Remember, if you had Medicare covering everybody, you'd have no insurance. Whatever you're paying now for your insurance policy premiums, and I'm guessing for the average middle class family, it's well into the $900 a month range. I mean, it's outrageous. You scale that back, and you look at what you'd be paying.
Well.
Medicare would be a lot lower.
The first thing that we need to do, and I will remind you of Bill Clinton, went hand in hand with the Republicans in Congress. They took in the neighborhood of 65% of the folks off the welfare rolls in about a 6-year period. Every state was flush with cash, and people felt good about themselves because they got job training. They got a job. They went to work. They pulled themselves out of the chains of.
There's more people living in poverty now than ever before, especially during that era.
Right, especially after 4 years of Barack Hussein Obama.
All of them. That's no different than the rest of them.
My point is, human beings have 2 direct needs and 8 or 10 wants. And when you furnish, and those 2 direct needs is food in their belly and a roof over their head.
None of which the government provides right now.
Please, when you have...
To the middle class. I'm talking about to the middle class.
I'm scared to death. Best boy, there could be a lightning strike here in just a minute.
I'm talking about to the average citizen.
Across our population, when you hand somebody a roof and when you feed them and they don't have to do anything,
that's not what we're talking
it's
about.
part of the problem.
Why hand people police services then? Let them get a gun and fend for themselves against
because they do not become they do not have a vested interest in the production of the United States of America.
Then why provide free police services?
The police services is for the 5%. The very ones that's getting a free house and free food are the ones that's causing the problem.
But I'm saying, why provide it at all? Just let people settle their differences themselves, like we did during the caveman era.
Okay, fine. Let's stop it all.
Why provide an army? Why provide a military? Why do we need that?
Because for the defense of the country.
Why? Defend yourself, though. Why do we need a military?
As my liberal friend is trying to drown me out on this, it's not going to work. As long as we,
It's a basic need. Healthcare is a basic need. Just like
as
defense
long
and
as we
education.
continue to let people ride for free.
It's not riding for free.
Ones
contributes.
that are capable of having a job who refuse to go get one, it's all in effect.
I have never met anyone who wanted a job.
47% of our population today does not work. 53% pays taxes.
We have a
When it
terrible
gets to
unemployment problem.
50-50,
We have a terrible unemployment problem.
we do. We do.
Mostly due to policies like that.
When the rain is falling on their head and their belly's hungry, it will motivate them to get out and do better.
You can't get out and do anything if you got leukemia or something like that and you can't afford your medical.
Very small percentage, Deborah, and you know it. I do not have a problem with
you go to the emergency room, which you are paying
they
for
are
right now.
using the emergency room as day-to-day health
It's a
care.
clinic. Exactly. That's the problem.
Because
healthcare is unaffordable.
They
Insurance
will
is unaffordable.
not get out and try to better themselves.
It's because you can't not afford insurance unless you're making one of the increasingly rare middle class jobs. You're making that kind of salary today.
I can see we're not going to get anywhere with this one, folks. So one final thing, and actually we only have about a minute or so to discuss it. I was hoping to have a little bit more, but I'll talk about it on the next show, definitely. My 2 cents worth is the University of West Florida has lost their mind. 15% tuition increase last year, threatening another tuition increase to fund the football team. I have in my possession a copy of a letter from the Supreme Commander over there, Judy Bentz, where she said we're losing $6.5 million from the state of Florida, and we're going to have to figure out how to plug that hole. And at the same breath, is talking about buying Scenic Hills Golf and Country Club for $2.2 plus the note that's on the clubhouse. Folks, there's a problem there. They actually even wanted to have discussions about increasing tourism. Now you tell me what a university of higher education,
I don't understand.
their concern over tourism.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But we're going to talk more about that in the next show. I'm Jerry Cooey.
I'm Deborah Nelson. Thanks for joining us. Good night.